Yeah, good to see you, man. And thanks for having me on the call. And just, feel free to interrupt if I'm blabbing, because I can blab sometimes. But I'm excited to be on here with you guys, and I'm excited to see, all the leaderboards and all that kind of stuff. Like in my head, I'm like, I just want to dominate those leaderboards. I wanted to be all of our people with Legacy Life. But yeah, so. For those of you guys that we haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Nick Greco. I live in Denver, Colorado. I've been with TDG Financial, and we started Legacy Life back in at the end of 2020 is when we got started into insurance. And just my story, real quick, and then I'm going to jump into some stuff here. Is I had built a business where I found myself when I first got started in insurance is I had built a business. I started a business when I was 19 years old, started it out of my dorm room, and it was a travel business. And what ended up happening is travel and COVID did not mix very well together. So that business went out of business, and they stopped paying us. And even though we had earned our commissions from the travel and all that kind of thing, they had stopped paying us. And I joke around like, hey, they still owe us some money, but what are you gonna do? Hold on to that. So they that business had went out of business. I spent over a decade of my life building something that just crumbled to the ground over like the course of 6 months. I had no income, didn't know what I was going to do. My wife, we had our second son. He had just been born in October of 2020, and so she couldn't drink any alcohol the entire pandemic, which was not very much fun. And That's where I was at when I got introduced to insurance. And I was in a spot where I'd never had a traditional job, a real, adult job before in my life. And I was starting to create a resume, and I didn't even know what to put on my dang resume. It's like all I'd ever done was really be a business owner and figure things out. And so when I heard about insurance, how I got introduced to it was a buddy of mine told me about Mark Hutchison, okay, who Mark is on, some of the leaderboards here. And he had told me about Mark Hutchison, and he told me that Mark was making 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month selling insurance, and that I should talk with Mark, and maybe I'd want to sell some insurance too. And I was in a place at that time where I needed to make money. I needed to make money. I needed to be able to provide for my family. I'm married. At the time, I had two kids, two boys, and I needed to do something. Now we have three boys, so it's even crazier. You can see wet wipes. Parents, if you know, you know. I got wet wipes in the office in case the kids come in here. But that's where I was at, and so I talked to Mark, talked with Steven, and quite frankly, just figured like, you know what? If this is even partially true, if the money that you make is even partially true inside of this insurance business, I need to do this, or I at least need to give it a shot. And if you're taking notes on here today, I started selling, we got after it, we started building pretty quickly right away, and I did a couple of things early on in the business that I think are useful for everybody. Okay, so I did two things. Number one, and if you're new and you're just a part of the team now, and you're trying to figure things out, you're trying to feel it out. Hey, is this business legit? What do I need to be focused on? Here's what I did at the very beginning. I made two decisions. Decision number one is I made the decision that I'm going to be coachable and teachable. Okay, and so I figured, hey, if this guy Mark is making 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a month, he's selling insurance, I'm just going to do what that guy tells me to do. I made that decision in my mind. And sometimes people, when they join a business like this, maybe you've got some experience before in insurance, or maybe you've got experience being an entrepreneur, or just whatever you've got your experience in. Sometimes people say, oh, well, I think maybe I know better, okay, than the people that are teaching me. And I humbled myself when I first got started. And I made the decision that if this guy's making that type of money, I'm just going to do what he tells me to do. Okay. Even if it doesn't seem right to me, even if I have my own opinion on whether or not I think that what he's telling me to do is right or incorrect, whatever. I'm not going to put my own wrinkle on it. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm going to do what they tell me to do. I'm going to humble myself and be coachable. That's decision number one. Decision number two that I made is I committed to this business. Okay. And I think way too often people get started in our business, which by the way is an incredible business. Like you see all these numbers, like Jason in our group, he made $34,000 last week. Like that is a real number. That got deposited into Jason's bank account. So this business is incredible. Okay. If you commit to it. If you're not committed to the business, it could be pretty rough. Okay, it could be pretty bad. So I decided I'm going to be coachable and teachable, and I decided that I was going to commit. Like I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to give this everything I got. I'm going to be coachable and teachable, and I'm going to really, really go for it. I'm going to be committed to this business. And for me, okay, I this is just what I did. Maybe it's different for you. You've got different life situations or whatever. But I committed to this business. My first day of dialing was January 4th of 2021. Okay, so I got my license at the end of 2020. My first day of dialing was January 4th. I decided that I'm going to give this everything I've got until the 4th of July. Okay. And I'm not going to look left. I'm not going to look right. I'm not going to try to make a determination or decide like, is this working? Is this not working? Um, I'm not going to do anything other than go full out in insurance from January 4th to July 4th. July 4th, okay, that 6 month window, I was like, I figured by July 4th, I will know if this is working or not working, or if I like this or don't like this. But I knew that I needed to give it enough time to before I started to make judgments on whether or not this insurance business was for me or not for me, or if I liked it or whatever. Okay, so I just decided like, hey, I'm going to give it everything I've got for this 6 month period. After that 6 months, then I can evaluate if I want to make some changes or whatever. And so I was coachable and teachable, and I committed. Okay. And here's what ended up happening is, started making those calls in January, started making money. By April, April, I made $20,000, April of 2021. So my fourth month in the business, I made, over $20,000. And I figured like, like, okay, this is working. I think July that year, I'm going off of memory here, but I think July that year, I made like 25,000. So we haven't really made less than that since. And so obviously it worked and it is working. But when you're brand new, or if you're just trying to get off the ground, I think you need to commit. I think you need to be, humble yourself and be coachable and teachable, and listen to the people that are making the type of money that you want to make. And that's what I did early on. And um, this business in a lot of ways is like getting a jet airplane off the runway. So like there's a lot of brand new people, and here's what I see all the time, like especially when I'm coaching new people or talking with new people, is your business is you're a jet airplane and you are on the runway. Okay, and people are at different spots on the runway, but for a lot of new people, they're not giving it enough effort. Okay, both on the sales side and on the recruiting side. Okay, this is applicable to both sides of the business. They're not giving it enough effort to get any sort of altitude. In fact, most people when they join this business, they're driving around. Okay, a little bit here, a little bit there on the runway. Okay, or they're just driving around the airport, but they don't have any altitude, and they wonder why it's not working the way they want it to work, or the way that they see it working for everybody else out there. Okay, and the reason why is because if you're a jet airplane and you're on the runway, you got to give it full throttle. You got to give it full gas. Okay, to get some altitude, you gotta just pedal to the metal, and you just gotta go. Okay, and here's even what I tell new people too. It's like, even if you take off and you're in the wrong direction, like have you ever been on a flight where like, hey, they're going full throttle and you're like, hey, my destination is this way, but we're taking off this way. Or like if you've ever flown out of the San Diego airport, you take off into the ocean. Okay. And like I live in Colorado, like it's the wrong way. Okay. They take off into the ocean, but then once they get altitude, then they can turn it around. And for new people, or if you feel like maybe you're stuck in the business or it's not going the way, like you need to give it full throttle, full gas, even if it's full gas in the wrong direction, because it's easier to turn around in the air, okay, when you have some altitude than it is to drive your way in an airplane from San Diego to Denver. You with me on that? So like there's a lot of people in this business where they're just not giving it enough juice. They're not giving it enough gas, and they're just putzing around and driving around at the airport. That's what they're doing. Okay. So you got to get altitude. You got to get gas. Now, to that effect is like, hey, you got to give it gas. You got to get some altitude. You got to get up in the air. And then once you're up in the air, you don't have to give it full throttle. Like if you're flying from San Diego to, North Carolina, let's say, like it is not full throttle the entire way. It's full throttle to get some altitude, and you got to get, you really got to get some altitude. And it is a lot of work to get that altitude. But once you've got some altitude, then it's just course correcting. Okay, like you're in the air, you don't need to give it absolutely full throttle. Like it's not the way that it was when you're on the ground. Okay, because in this business, really the parallel is you start to get good. You start to get good at talking with clients. You start to get good at making the sales. You start to get good at having the recruiting conversations. Okay, but in the very beginning, you need to make up an effort what you lack in skill. And I'll just tell you right now, if you're brand new or you've been in for a month or 2 months, you lack skill. And that's okay. You're supposed to lack skill. Okay. You're brand new. When I was brand new, I lacked all the skill in the world. I was literally just doing whatever Mark Hutchison told me to do. Okay. So you have to make up an effort. You have to make up in numbers what you lack in skill when you're brand new. Now, once you get good at this business, and you've got some altitude and your skills, like you kind of have the skills underneath your wings. Okay, it kind of gets to the point where it's really, really easy. And I hate to say that word easy. I don't want to be misleading. Like you still need to work hard. Okay. And I can share with you guys like some of the cases I got right now. They are all complicated, and I promise you I'm working hard. But because I have the skills, because I built the skills, because I built my business on a strong foundation, I have some wind beneath my wings. Okay. Because I have some skills. So that's what I did getting started. That's my advice for brand new people on here is just gas it. Like we can course correct once you've got some altitude. All right. Don't worry about being perfect while you're on the runway. And there's so many people that they're trying to be perfect while they're on the runway. It's like you don't need to be perfect. You need to give it gas. You need to call. You need to get after it. You need to get going. You need to be dialing like a crazy person. You need to be talking to new recruits like a crazy person, and you can figure out all the other stuff once you've got some altitude. Okay. The biggest issue I see with brand new people is they are stuck on the ground and they don't have any altitude, and we've just got a bunch of airplanes, you know what I mean, driving around on at the airport. Okay. So let's go get some altitude. And when talking with Steven, talking with Chandler about hey, what are we talking about here today? I wanted to talk about why you ought to build a big business. Okay. And also some of the how-tos on building a business. And so here's the great thing about just insurance as the way that we have it set up with TDG Financial, with Legacy Life. Like we have this set up in such a way where you can this business can truly be whatever you want it to be. Okay. It's incredible. So if you just want to focus on sales, you just want to focus on helping people with their funeral and final expense coverage, you can do that. If you just want to focus on helping people with annuities, like, hey, you can go do that. If you want to focus on Medicare, like, hey, you can go do that. But here's what I will tell you. If you're a high level producer, and you should be a high level producer, okay? Like I still am selling insurance. I am still talking with clients about annuities. So is Steven, okay? Because we've got the skill set and we can go do it. Even though maybe 25% of my time is dedicated to sales, like, hey, we can go do that. And I imagine it's the same for Steven. But here's what I want you to just think about is how long do you want your business and your income to be wholly and solely dependent on you? Okay. How long do you want that to be the case? And I'll tell you guys, like you saw what I think it was $8,300 is what I got deposited last week. Out of that $8,300, I just went and looked, and about $100 of that was my own personal sales, was dependent on me. Okay, and that is what you want. Okay, you want to go out there and you want to go build a business. Listen, being self-employed and being really, really good at sales is phenomenal. Like you should go do that. Okay, it is better than a job. But ultimately, just like Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, it's like you've got employees and you've got self-employed, and you can make some money over there. Okay, being a high-level agent and selling lots of insurance, you are being self-employed, and it's a better way. It's better than being an employee. Okay, but that is all on one side of the quadrant. All right, the other side of the quadrant is being a business owner and being an investor. And that side of things is where most of the money is. Okay, I imagine when you were a little kid, you probably weren't a little kid saying, you know what, when I grow up, I think I'm going to I'm going to be a life insurance salesperson. I want to sell lots of life insurance. So I imagine you probably got into insurance so for the money. Okay, like I got into insurance. I already told you, like I got into this so I could go make money and take care of my family. Okay, and do I love the products? And like I love this business. Like I'm just quite frankly, like I feel like I was built for this business. Okay, but make no mistake, if the insurance companies cut the commissions by 95%, like I would not be in this business. Okay. We're in this business because we love it, but we're also in this business because they pay really well. And it's a phenomenal business. Like you could make life changing, family changing, generational changing money. Okay. So my point of this is you got into business so you can make money. And most of the money in this business, the vast majority of the money in this business is not just in the production side of things. Like, yes, you can make lots of money being self-employed, but you can make even more money and have more freedom in your life. Not just have the money, but you could go build a lifestyle if you go build an organization. Okay, if you go build a group, and here's the beautiful thing about the way that we have it all set up is you can go build a group and we will help you build a group. Okay, TDG will help you build a group. All right, like you can go sign somebody up and you can just get them plugged in, and there's training, there's tools, there's the Discord, like there's all these resources for you. And then on top of that, the alliance has all full corporate headquarters, like all that kind of stuff to help you go build your business. And guess what? You still get to keep, all right, what you make in overrides. All right. So, you if you're not already on the path to building an organization, you need to get on the path to building an organization because the sooner you can get some income coming in that isn't dependent on you, the better. Okay, you want to be able to do the things and not just make the money, but also have a life and also have a lifestyle to go along with it. Okay, I am just telling you guys like that is the magic of this business. And you don't I know some people that are in the insurance business. Maybe they're doing Medicare, or like one of my dad's really great friends is he's crushing it. But like there's agents there that, hey, these are guys in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're still in the business, still selling. Okay, and I maybe you have interest in being in your 70s and still needing to sell in order to eat. I have no interest in that. You know what I mean? So you want to go build a business that isn't just dependent on you. You want to build a business that's you and a team together as a team. And when Jason goes and makes $34,000, hey, you could call him and celebrate. And your income is not completely dependent on you. So how do we go about doing that? Okay. The first things first is in order to go build a group, you have to open your mouth. You have to go talk to somebody about this business. Here's the great thing about this. Our business doesn't suck. Our business is incredible. Our business is amazing. Okay. Like you could be like Jason in our business, you could make $34,000 in a week. In a week. So like how many other places can you truly go do that? Not that many. Okay. So you we have an incredible business. All you have to do is open your mouth and see if somebody's interested in opportunity, if they're open to earning an additional income. Okay. And you have to be able to open your mouth and be willing to go recruit somebody and introduce the opportunity to them. Like, we've got hundreds of agents in our group, and there are times where we're on a trip, or because the alliance has these amazing trips that you can go earn. And there's been times where like I'm on trips and like I'm talking to not even the agent that's a part of our group that earned the trip, but like the spouse of the agent. And this business can be life changing. You know what I mean? It really can. Like people have come to me in tears of like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for telling so and so about this, because so and so told so and so told so and so who told my wife, and we're here on this trip because you opened your Yap, okay, whatever, 5 years ago or something. So, um, it's not just about you. It's not just about the money that you can make. Yes, the money's great. Yes, the overrides are great. Yes, you want to go build a business that isn't dependent on you. But there's people out there right now. I promise you, there are people out here right now that last night were on their knees praying to God for an opportunity. Okay, and if you don't open your mouth, they never hear about this. If you don't introduce the idea to somebody, if you don't at least just bring it up and see if there's interest there, then that person, like, they don't hear about it. Like, you don't get those tearful hugs from a grown man on a vacation. Okay. That doesn't happen unless you open your mouth and at least see if someone's willing to take a look at the business. So, number one thing to build a group is like you got to just open your mouth and you got to see if people are open. Like, and yes, we got to recruit them. And here's what I'll tell you too is like the path from somebody going from recruit to high producing agent or team builder or whatever they want from this business, that path is not an easy path. Okay. So you're going to kiss a lot of frogs along the way before you find the prince. Okay. You're going to kiss some frogs as you're talking with people, and as you're recruiting people and as you're bringing people in, like there's going to be a lot of people that talk a big game and then end up doing nothing, or they get one no and then they quit. Okay. Like it is going to be a process. It is not easy to go build an organization. Like it's just not. Like you got to get the people in, you got to recruit them, we got to teach them how to do it. We got to, but the way that we have everything set up, the odds are in your favor. Okay, if you get somebody in that they want to make it happen and they've got the drive, they've got the motivation, like we have all the tools, all the resources, all the companies, all the infrastructure where they can go make this whatever they want to make it. You just got to do your job and you got to get them in front of it. Okay, you got to at least see if they're open. Okay, and we can teach them how to do the sales. We can teach them how to build a team. We can get them to the events. Like we can all of the heavy lifting stuff, belief that this business is real and the support and the tools and all that kind of stuff. All of those things can be taken care of for you in a lot of ways. But you got to open your mouth. You got to see if somebody's willing to go out there and go build a business. And there's a lot of people out there that are praying for a business, like they want to go make it happen. So you just got to open your mouth and see who's willing, and they'll raise their hands. Okay, a couple tips or just mindset things on recruiting. um, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Okay, you just can't. The right person, you could give them the worst explanation of this business, and the right person is going to raise their, oh my gosh, I got to hear about this. Okay. So you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. You also, when someone is ready, when you find someone who is the right person, they will raise their hand. Like you almost can't, I hate to say that, like you almost can't screw it up if they're the right person. Okay. They're just going to raise their hand. Like they're going to be blowing up your phone, beating down your door. Like I've got some new people going right now that like they're blowing up my phone. They're beating down my door. And it's just because they're the right person. Okay. I don't need to call them and motivate them. They are just the right person and they are just going for it. Okay. Like they have their foot on the gas and I can tell. Okay. And then I've got other people that like I get them in and then like I forget about them because they don't do anything. They don't call me. They never get back to me. Like I just don't really have time for that. Okay, and I forget about those folks. So you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Even if you're throwing spaghetti against the wall, some of it's gonna stick. Okay, not to say that we should do that, but I'm just saying, like, hey, if you just talk to a bunch of people and you're throwing spaghetti against the wall, some of it is gonna stick. Okay. Here's another tip as it comes to building an organization. Okay, you can help 1,000 people in this business. Like you can help 1,000 people, but you can't carry three of them on your back. Think about that. Like even if you're huge, even if you're a big person, okay, even if you're Scott Koistra, who's like one of the biggest human beings I've ever met in my life, used to play in the NFL. Okay, I don't think he could carry three people on his back. Okay, we could try it. Family reunion, North Carolina. We'll see if he can do three on his back. But like, you can't carry three on your back, but you can help 1,000. Okay, you can play a small part and you can help 1,000 people. And if you go help 1,000 people in this business, you are making lots of money. You're where Steven's at. Okay, you're where TDG Financial's at because those people have helped thousands of people in this business. So at the end of the day, people they have to participate in their own rescue. And sometimes we try to recruit new people and we try to carry them on our back, and you can only carry somebody so far. Okay, but for the right people, you can help 1,000 of them. You can help thousands of them if they're the right person, but you can't carry them all on your back. So people have to participate in their own rescue. Like in this business, hard work is undefeated. Okay, if you go work really hard at this in this business, the carriers can't stop you. The integrity can't stop you. TDG, like, I can't stop you. Nobody can stop you. If you go work your butt off in this business and you go make it happen, nobody can stop you. All right. Hard work is undefeated in this business. And it's just a matter of whether or not you're going to go put in the work, whether or not you're going to go mash the gas, whether or not you're going to go do what it takes to actually win at this. And I'll just tell you this on the other, I wouldn't consider myself on the other side. Okay. Like, I am still like day in, day out working my butt off to go advance this business. But even with where we are, and I feel like we're still new in the business, and I feel like we've got a long way to go. And we've got a lot more people to help. Even along the way, like, just the freedom, the of course, like the income, but being able to celebrate with people when they're making more money than they've ever made, and just the type of life and the type of lifestyle that you can have in this business, is just incredible. It is incredible. Okay. My wife and I, we've been very blessed in this business, in doing no small part to Stephen and TDG Financial. The life that we get to live because of this insurance business is phenomenal. And again, I still feel like we're like, I'm in here day in, day out. I'm in my office, okay, working this business. Okay, but the life that you can live here is incredible, and it is worth it. I guess really what I'm trying to say is, like, the juice is worth the squeeze. Okay, like, you gotta really, really work your butt off to go make it happen on the sales side, on the recruiting and the building side. Like, it's a bunch of work. Okay, it's a bunch of work, but it's the work is worth it. And how many of us have ever worked at something, or even just my story, like I told you guys at the beginning, like, I worked and I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into a business for over 10 years, and it wasn't worth it. Like, it was gone. Okay. The juice is worth the squeeze here. The juice is absolutely worth the squeeze, not just for the money, but for the life that you can live from this business. It absolutely is. So that's what I wish for you. Okay. And how do you get there? The 8 steps to success. Like, you just follow those and you're in good shape. Come to the events, come get around it, come lean in, and if you're a part of TDG Financial, if you're part of Legacy Life, like, just come lean in. Like, we're here for you. Like, these guys are absolutely incredible. And if you want it, it's here, and the juice is worth the squeeze. Or put another way, like, hey, it's a lot of work to get this, airplane. Like, you got to give it a lot of gas, a lot of jet fuel to get the altitude in the airplane. But once you get to the destination, not only is the destination worth it, but the ride is worth it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a first class ride in that airplane. And it is incredible. And there's champagne and there's all sorts of great things on the ride. Okay. But it is worth the work. So that's what I want for you. I want you to go put in the work. I want you to go get what you came for in this business, because the type of life and the type of lifestyle that you can have is absolutely worth it. So, that's what I got for you, brother. If you have anything you want me to add or things I didn't touch on, you let me know.
No, honestly, man, what you were saying is absolutely what what we needed. And I'm watching our YouTube chat and even in our Discord, people are saying this is exactly like Regina. She said this is exactly what I needed today, and I'm going to repeatedly watch this today. So she's going to go back and watch YouTube. But this is exactly what we needed, you know. And I think what I really appreciate was your acronym about taking the jet off, you know, off the runway. And you're absolutely right. A lot of times we're preparing and we're getting ready to get ready. We're getting ready to get ready, and then we never fully put the throttle down. And then we look back on it a month later, and it's like that business just didn't work. And it's like, well, no, it does. I promise you. I promise you, it does. You know, we just didn't. You just didn't get enough of an opportunity, right? And so hearing that is exactly what we needed. And dude, I really appreciate you and Danielle and the example you guys set, continuing to help, you know, further the organization, continue to help us. And honestly, I just really appreciate you coming on today. You know, what you shared was gold, and I'm gonna edit this up so we can post it back on our YouTube so people can watch it again. So if you want copies, they'll be on our YouTube. You can watch it too. But no, seriously, Nick, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, brother. Anytime, man.
Awesome. All right. Well, everyone, have a phenomenal rest of your day. Let's get this week started. Use this content to fuel your fire. And as Nick said, use it to take off the runway. Don't just sit there in the taxiway. So thank you so much for your time. Let's have a great week.